Hello, folks. How are y'all doing today? I hope y'all are doing as well as possible given the times we are living in. Whoo, baby. Whoo, baby. And today we are talking about work-life balance. How the heck can we decipher what work-life balance means for us? I've been getting lots of questions. I need to find balance. Actually, that's not a question. That's a statement. I need to find balance. How do I find more balance? How do I create work-life balance? And then I'm speaking to employers that are like, my Gen Zer, do they say my? Yes, they'll say like, our Gen Zers are saying that they're leaving because they want more balance, but we don't know what that means. So we're going to talk about that today. So here's where I think we stand related to this concept of balance is that we have no clue what the heck we're talking about when we talk about balance. We feel that there's this quintessential, perhaps formula that's outside of ourselves. There's an equation that tallies what we do during the day. And if we can figure out what this universal balance equation is that other people know the answer to, but not us, then somehow our lives are going to feel good. Or if we work hard enough, if we meditate long enough, if we ask the ethers enough, then somehow this formula is going to just appear and we'll finally have access to it, this access that we believe other people have. Now, under that paradigm, can y'all see that it's always eluding us? Like balance is somewhere out there that I have to find, that other people know of, that I don't know of, and thus beginneth the shame spiral. Oh my gosh, poor me. How is it that I haven't figured out this thing called balance and everybody else has? So then not only do we not know what this balance formula is, now we're also shaming ourselves and berating ourselves for not doing better or not knowing enough. And that doesn't feel good. So here's my version of saying there's nothing wrong here. There's nothing wrong with you. We all struggle with this thing called balance. And there is not one universal balance formula that works for everybody's lives. And that if we just unlock it, click, it'll all be better. Does not work that way. So what do we do? What do we do with that? I may have something that can help. And this is just mine. This is just me coming up with something that works for myself and clients and students. So if it works for you, here you go. What I have noticed in the many conversations I have had with friends, colleagues, clients, students, myself, related to this thing called balance, is balance. When we say we're out of balance, it tends to signify that something feels off. Another way that I tend to think about this is what we desire our life to feel like, what we want to be doing in our lives, what we want our lives to feel like does not actually match how we are feeling in the real world and the actions we are taking in the real world. Let me repeat myself. I believe we tend to feel out of balance when what we want on the inside, how we want to be living our lives, does not match how we are actually living our lives. So how do we bring those two closer and closer together? I have two questions for you. One, what feels like it's currently missing in my life? When we feel out of balance, a lot of times there's something that we want, something that is missing that we want to include in our lives. So perhaps this is friendships and time with friends. Perhaps we're missing our high school or our college friends, or perhaps we're missing community. Perhaps we're missing laughter. Perhaps we're missing sleep. Perhaps we're missing a job and working. Perhaps we're missing more time for fun. Perhaps we're missing creating memories with our family. For me, it's actually spending time working on my business, doing my best to create a predictable income or the type of growth and visibility that I am currently envisioning as possible. But with all of the other things going on in my life, I feel like I'm not devoting enough presence and time and space to this business thing. So if I were to say for myself, what feels like it's missing, it's actual spaciousness in time where I can focus on creating content and building a business and creating offers and being in more and more conversations with y'all. So if you are currently feeling off, if you're currently feeling like things are out of balance, I'd say try to answer this one question for you. First, what feels missing? Perhaps it's being able to have time to work out, or being able to meal prep, or being able to cook delicious food, or perhaps it's time to be able to go on walks. Whatever shows up, perhaps take a moment to jot it down. Put it in your notes app, write it in a notebook. What feels missing? Now, my next question is there anything that feels like you're doing too much of, that you want to do less of? Or is there something that's too much in your life that you want to get rid of? So perhaps this is because you're working 14 hours a day and you don't want to be working 14 hours a day at the job or in the business that you're doing. That's great data. Perhaps you're spending too much time carting your family around and all of your kids, and you're spending 4 hours taking your kids from activity to activity to activity, and that's too much. No more. Perhaps you're doing too many dishes. Perhaps we are working out 4 hours a day when we don't want to be. Perhaps we're focused so much on our nutrition and our calorie intake and protein intake, and we want to actually be enjoying our life and eating some ice cream. Perhaps we're spending too much time caring for a whole bunch of people that are not reciprocating, who are not caring for us back. Perhaps we are saying yes to too many things that we don't want to do, and we want to start saying no. Perhaps we're spending so much time looking at a screen and it has us feel lousy at the end of the night, and we're wondering where those 3 hours went, and we want to do less of that. Perhaps we're doing too much reading and we're spending 6 hours a night reading and avoiding life and living in fantasy world and romantasy world, rather than actually going out and doing the scary thing, which is meeting people who maybe love to read, so that we're starting to build some friendships and some community, that thing that we're also missing. So if you are currently feeling off and out of balance, my second question would be, what do you feel that you're doing too much of that you want to start getting rid of? So let me reiterate. Question number one: what do you feel is missing that you want to include in your more and more in your life? And number two, what do you feel that you're doing too much of that you want to start letting go of? Now, here's what's amazing when we come up with these two things. First of all, I think we start to realize that not everything is out of balance. Our whole lives are not out of balance. We're actually, the majority of us and the majority of things that we're doing are actually what we want to do. This is good news. It means that our insides, the things that we want, our drive, our values, how we want to be living life, we're actually doing 80, 90, 98% of the time. And then there's just these things like, I want to laugh more. I'd like to stop scrolling on my phone more. There are very tangible things that we can start to realize are not working. And now that they are specific, now that they are said out loud or jotted in a notebook, or you've put it in your notes app, now you can actually do something about it. So if you want to crochet more, or you want more time for hobbies, great. We can start getting curious about what those hobbies could be. If you're recognizing that how much time and energy you are spending at your job is unsustainable, then that's another focus that we can specify and start to slowly focus on making changes to. What this also does is it actually puts this work-life balance agency directly back onto our plate. We have full responsibility. It's not an answer that's outside of us. It's not some formula that somebody else invented that's going to work for everybody. It doesn't require you going to the Himalayas and meditating for 72 hours in a row. What this requires is getting very specific about two things: what feels missing that I want more of, and what feels like too much that I want to get rid of. And what's amazing is those two things then lead us more and more into what feels satisfying, what feels fulfilling to us, so that we more and more are leaning into living a life the way that we want to be living it. And here's something that's addedly important. I don't think that's a word. We're going to make it up. It's addedly important, is that what fills us up, what fuels us, what satisfies us, what inspires us, what sustains us, what excites us is different, not only from person to person, but also from moment in time to moment in time. These can all shift based on our circumstances, based on our age, based on what we're doing in our lives, based on our priorities. What fulfilled me and satisfied me even 6 months ago, let alone 10 years ago, is not the same as now. My energy levels at 20, 25, 27, when I was fine working 19 hours a day, hell nah, that ain't happening anymore. When I was willing, 32, to say yes to all of the things and then come home and make dinner and plan birthday parties and then travel to Europe to plan weddings. Like, I can't even imagine doing that right now. That energy, whatever I had back then, I do not have it. I need copious amounts of time and space to sit and look outside and drink coffee and journal and read and paint and plan and do stickers. And when I don't have that, I'm not well. And this version of me who takes this much time to just sit outside and look at clouds and think about life, Cielle was not doing that at 27. Let's be real clear. And if she was, that would have probably been in my category of I'm doing too much of and want to do less of, because I had other things that I was up to. I had different curiosities. There were other things that I wanted to try, and I had the fucking energy to do it. I had the capacity. I had the drive. And today my drive is different. All of this to say that we're allowed to have stages in our lives. And what feels like balance to you today will most likely be different 6 months from now or 5 years from now. And what felt like balance to you, where the way that you want to live life actually matches the way that you're living life, maybe it felt good to you 3 years ago and it doesn't now. Maybe it felt good to you 7 years ago before COVID, and then the world is drastically different and it doesn't work now. Because let's also take into what's going on in the world. That has shifted. The last 6 years have drastically shifted the landscape and the world that we work and live in, to the point that I would say what we could do 6 years ago is very different than now. What we care about 6 years ago is very different than what we care about now. The actions that we took or did not take 6 years ago is untenable to us now. We must take action to be able to look at ourselves in the mirror. So let's not discount that we are also allowed to shift priorities, balance, what satisfies us, how we want to be living life, the actions that we want to take, change. Lastly, the way that I've been hearing balance from several people makes me actually wonder whether we mean balance or whether we mean disconnected. I've been thinking about the different ways that we can feel disconnected. And disconnected from each other, of course. Disconnected from a community. Disconnected from people who know and see and love us for who we are. But it doesn't have to be grand that way. There is a joy. There is connection in talking to the barista, or having somebody at the store recognize you. I wonder if we're also feeling disconnected more and more to ourselves, disconnected to what fuels us, disconnected to who we are and who we want to be, and disconnected, honestly, to sort of like a grander sense of we're in this thing together, or there is a connection between all of us. So I don't have too many answers there. I just feel like if I'm having a conversation related to balance, it feels important to at least mention this feeling that I keep getting when we say out of balance. And I keep wondering, Is it out of balance? Or is it disconnection? Or perhaps they're one and the same, or they coincide. I don't have an answer yet to that. I think that's more of a question. But I'm curious actually how that feels to you. And if y'all would link disconnection to balance, work-life balance. And if you have any other questions, or if there's something that came up that didn't get answered, or if you disagree with me somehow and you're like, wait, hold up, there's something missing here, please, please, please let me know. These are the conversations that I adore. In summary, what I have found is when we think about work-life balance, it doesn't necessarily work to think that there's some formula that's outside of ourselves that we're never going to be able to figure out, or that we keep trying and striving to figure out. That just isn't there. And the two questions that seem to clarify this in tangible ways are, what feels like it's missing right now in my life? And what do I feel like I'm doing too much of that I would like to do less of? So if you're also willing to share what those things are for you on whatever platform you see this, or hear this, or listen to this, or watch this, let me know. I so appreciate y'all being here. And here's to us experiencing life more and more the way that we hope to. I'll see you at the next episode. Thank you so much for being here. Love y'all.